matter I'm going to need to address outside of your presence, so I'm going to ask you to put your notepads face down and retire from the court. We're going to take a brief recess, hopefully. Ms. Hawthorne, you wanted to proffer some testimony?
Yes, sir. We would like to call Mr. I believe his name is Hoskinson. He is a neighbor of the Bargos, and he's also familiar with Mr. Seth Jackson and Mr. Seth Jackson's conduct in the neighborhood in the month prior, riding his bicycle around with his friends, threatening neighbors to shoot them, rape their family members, that he was going to go home and get his .44, that he was going to kill and rape people, burn their houses down. On one occasion, there was another gentleman, Mr. Desi, who he threatened him directly on a date and time that a TRO was issued by the Marion County Sheriff's Office against Mr. Jackson. I believe it was on March 22nd. A temporary restraining order, a trespass order, was issued to him not to come back to the Bargo residence where he had been and threatened to kill, murder, and rape Mr. Bargo's grandmother. And it is our intention that his reputation in the community for violence is admissible, and we would like to put that on the record.
Why is that relevant in a penalty phase proceeding as opposed to a guilt phase?
It goes to my client's rage, Your Honor. It goes to the events that were leading up to the incident that occurred. And it is permissible under State v. Farrell, 1996 case, evidence of the daughter's participation in phone calls with the defendant, opining that she wanted her parents killed, was admissible during the penalty phase, but not during the guilt phase.
Does the State have an argument?
Yes, Your Honor. The first point is the defense has never listed a gentleman named Hoskinson or whatever his name is in there as a witness in their case. So that's one basis for objecting to him testifying. He was never listed as a witness, and I don't know who that is. Secondly, the conduct of the victim is not at issue. Farrell is distinguished because that witness was actually participating in the criminal event, which is a statutory mitigating factor that does not apply in this case, because Mr. Jackson would have had to participate in the defendant's criminal activity for that to apply. So all it does is denigrate the victim, and it's not in any way, shape, or form relevant at this point.
It goes to the bullying issue, Your Honor.
I find that that testimony is not relevant to this phase of the trial. To contrast, had this been the guilt phase and, for example, the defense was one of self-defense, then such evidence would be admissible. I find it not relevant in the penalty phase. Accordingly, the court is denying the introduction of that testimony.
The other witness that would testify to that is Mr. Desi. I believe he was listed as a witness.
He was.
Similar testimony?
Yes, sir.
Same ruling then?
We also have Mr. Bargo Sr., who obtained the TRO against Mr. Jackson to have him stay away from the grandmother's house and threatening the grandmother.
For the record, TRO stands for Temporary Restraining Order, and I also find that testimony to be irrelevant in regards to a penalty phase proceeding.
And the witness, Virgie Waller, who is Mr. Bargo Jr.'s grandmother, was threatened personally by Seth Jackson. He threatened to rape her, burn her house down. He was going to kill her. He was going to go get his .44 Magnum and come back and shoot her.
Regarding that witness, my recollection is that specific incidents of violence are not admissible. Reputation testimony might be admissible. I've already ruled in that regard. Accordingly,
It goes to the reputation, Your Honor, in the community.
no, that goes to a specific incident of violence, what I just heard. In any event, that testimony is also prohibited. Do you have further live witnesses to call?
Yes, Your Honor, we have witnesses that are actually waiting in Detroit, Michigan to appear by closed-circuit TV.
Yes, ma'am.
We do have some witnesses outside. We also are waiting for Dr. Wu, who may actually be here at this point, and Mr. Holloman would need to be excused to prepare for that. We also need a computer and a camera projector for Dr. Wu to be able to present his PowerPoint.
The witnesses that you intend to call next, and I use the term live witnesses, I meant witnesses will actually be testifying inside this courtroom.
Yes, sir.
Do you have witnesses to present? Because at some point we'll need to take a recess to present the witnesses for Michigan.
If I can have a moment to step out with Mr. Holloman just to decide, we have a number of witnesses, we just have to decide which one should be put on the stand, the
Yes.
length of that witness, because Dr. Wu has a specific schedule. He has to be done and leaving the courthouse by 3 o'clock because he has a flight to catch back to California.
You want to confer with Mr. Holloman?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, we do have the projector and the computer available.
Very
but
good.
we don't have a camera for Skype. That was not anything that we were instructed to provide.
Now, I believe our court technology officers have the ability to set that up. Reposition that podium so it's facing the witness.
Judge, while we're on a break, do you want us to go ahead and set that computer and projector up for later, or just wait?
We can just wait.
White on the screen, the button on the screen there where it say down, push the down button. That's it. We have to slide that over.
in the corner, I don't see her.
No, she's been in here, but I don't see her.
I need to get in touch with her because I need somebody to set up that television. Do we have a television, a computer?
Yeah, I have a TV. I put on the jury room, get it out the way.
Okay.
And they don't need it for Skype.
Well,
I'm going to bring it in now. I'm getting the machine.
no, it's just in the jury room. I'm more concerned with getting someone here who can actually put it together. Tell Christine I need somebody in court technology to be able to put the TV together. You're back.
We would like to set up a Skype for the witnesses that are appearing by the accusers. However, in the meantime, we can call Mr. Vargo Senior to start, and then I would continue his testimony later. Just go through certain portions.
It's going to take some time to get that set up, so do you want to put Mr. Bargo on right now and then take a recess, or just hold this recess while we get the...
I would rather hold the recess.
Okay, we'll be in recess until we get the technology in place to have the witnesses from Michigan testify. Do me a favor, just call me when that happens.
Okay, so we can go from there. Do you want me to do like J and O and then do these right after Claire are on? Okay.
Tamara, can you tell the jurors it's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes?
All rise, please. Court being recessed.
Where we going?
Diana pointed out she put the Skype camera in. She said where she wanted this. We just got that.
Closed circuit TV?
Just that was the biggest that the judge asked Bailiff to do.
I don't know anything about closed circuit TV, so we've gotta wait for the media people.
Yeah, they're coming in to set all that up right now. What are we doing
My
with
motion
this?
for immediate
Bailiff
assistance,
wanted
so.
I wish you would set that up.
Give it to the bill.
You're gonna appear by that.
All right, just right over there.
Mike.
Was really bad. Which is true.
Welcome to Unified Conference.
Can y'all hear us over there on the other side of the video?
It's a nice morning.
You did.
The office doesn't have it. I don't know if it's like en route or something maybe.
What is? Cindy.
The office doesn't have the motion and limiting the penalty phase. But I guess you guys filed yesterday. Right.
You want those pictures in there?
I don't know if it's like in transition maybe. Who knows?
It's probably in the runs because they do run that night.
I think I made an extra one.
Can y'all unmute for just a second and make sure we have audio here?
Clerk?
I gave JJ one, I don't care.
Can y'all hear us over there in the other side of the video?
Yes, we can.
Okay. We just wanted to make sure you can hear us and we can hear you.
They have a notary there to swear the witness, right?
Yes.
Actually, we do right now. I was just getting ready to leave. Let me talk to the office manager. When you're actually ready to start, I don't know if you just want one witness in the room at a time or if they're all allowed to sit anywhere.
They are not all allowed to sit there. They have to be in the room one at a time.
Okay.
And they all have to be sworn there. We can't swear them from here. They have to be sworn there.
Okay. Now, there is another notary here. I just have to leave. That's the only thing. So let us know who you want to start with, and we'll go from there.
That would be a question for Ms. Hawthorne.
Is that them right there?
Hey Charles, what are you reading?
I knew it was in one of those. I remember when you said it was hard to remember putting notebooks so it wouldn't get charge it to home. His account.
Or my account.
One for the state, one for the judge, one.
No, one for us, one for them. Two copies. Okay, let me get this out.
No, I think he's a worker there. Attached to him.
Yeah, I have my lunch from yesterday.
It's a good thing. Just let you know the Nicholas door's open outside. I'm gonna deal with that. Tear it open. I just hit you with this pool now.
No, that didn't look too good. Because I chicken sandwich. I go,
So do
okay.
they get to choose?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Keegan always eats every single episode. They don't think it's it's just so nice we don't have to have to used to do
I heard him speak one time in Winklery, and it's like drinking out of a fire hydrant. He knows a lot.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I've never heard him in person, but I've heard him on tape. Yeah, it
It was
is.
a long time ago. He came to the, it was a conference somewhere. I can't remember where. It was a really long time ago.
Will be. No question of that. We have Sarah the Christensen's and Alicia. I would say probably do Sarah if you want to do her first. Mom's Dr. Wu tried to call me. Hang on. Dr. Wu, this is Roger Chilton. I'm sorry I missed your call.
Yeah, you did.
All right. Circuit Court, Anderson, Marion County, is now back in session.
Go ahead and be seated, please. Counsel, is the technology in place?
It looks like it is, Your Honor. I haven't actually tested it yet.
You want the witness testifying with sunglasses on his forehead?
No.
No, sir.
I guess he heard
Hello.
you.
I guess you heard us?
Do we have a notary prepared to have the witness sworn in? Very well.
Let me get the notary.
Can we bring that forward more? Okay. Tell Rogers,
And how many witnesses will be testifying from the state of Michigan?
I believe 6. Roger?
And the question, how many will be testifying from the state of Michigan?
I believe we have 6.
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, Tracy's not. There's 8 of us.
The witnesses can't stay in the room while the person's testifying. All the witnesses have to be in another room. The only people that should be there is the notary and the witness.
I'm a notary. I'm in here.
Okay.
Here I am.
Good morning.
Okay.
And everyone else has been relocated?
As far,
They got a lot of time.
everybody, I think there's only one that can be in, sorry.
Is the state requesting a rule of sequestration be invoked? Very well.
Your Honor, we have Dr. Berlin is here. He is seated in the gallery.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, sorry.
The rule of sequestration will be waived regarding Dr. Berlin, but Dr. Berlin, do you want to relocate so you can actually observe that television monitor? Noting that that has been accomplished. And our jury has not yet returned to the courtroom, but can I address the notary public in the state of Michigan?
Yes,
Ma'am, what is your name, please?
my name is Dolores, last name Durkin, D-U-R-K-I-N.
Are you a notary public? Or is that the term?
I am.
Is that the term in the state of Michigan?
Yes,
Do you have a license number?
I do, well, I have an expiration date. Let me check my card. Can you hold on?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Hawthorne, are you going to call all of these witnesses sequentially? In other words, we're going to accomplish all of the witnesses for Michigan at this time?
Possibly, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna try.
Very good.
Can we ask, is there a certain order that you're gonna ask us to testify in?
Ms. Hawthorne, do you have an order of witnesses?
Yes, sir. The witness who is presently there, I believe is, I'm not sure. Let's. Todd Christensen? Okay. The Christensens would go first, sir, and then, Lauren Bargo and Mark Doohan. And, actually, after this gentleman, and his family, then we will take, one of them needs to get to work.
Sarah Jordan, she's.
Sarah Jordan. We'll take her then.
Okay, Ms. Durkin, do you have that information?
I have my card, but on my card, I have,
Expiration only.
yeah, expiration only, which is March 13th, 2015. I don't have a license number on my card.
They don't have license number.
Yeah.
Very well, that's your expiration date, and you're telling me that you are a notary public in the state of Michigan?
I am.
I accept that, ma'am. What we'll have you do is, each witness will need to have you swear them in the presence of our jury here in the state of Florida. Are we ready for the jury to return, counsel?
So make sure all the other witnesses are out of that room other than Mr. Christensen.
Ms. Durkin, are all the other witnesses out of that room?
They're leaving right now.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm Judge David Eddy. I should have introduced myself.
Sorry, Judge, thank you. Okay, myself and the witness.
Very well. Please have the jury return to the courtroom. And counsel, I'm going to give them an instruction that they should consider this testimony as if the witness was testifying from the witness chair in this courtroom. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. The extended recess, members of the jury, was necessary to get some technology in place. We have several witnesses who will be testifying at this time from the state of Michigan. You should consider their testimony in the same manner as if they were testifying from this witness chair in our courtroom. Ms. Hawthorne, you may call your next witness.
Defense will call Mr. Todd Christensen.
And we do have a notary public in the state of Michigan prepared to swear each witness. And Ms. Durkin, can you have this witness sworn?
Not yet. Whenever you're ready, I can do that right now.
We're ready.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. You affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Morning. I sure can.
Okay, would you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your name, sir?
My name is Todd Christensen.
And Mr. Christensen, you are in the state of Michigan?
I am.
Are you in Detroit, Michigan?
Currently, yes.
Okay. Do you know Michael Shane Bargo Jr.?
I do.
Do you know the family?
I do.
It's my understanding that your family lived next door to the Bargos?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell us approximately when you began to be neighbors in Michigan?
It was early 2000, 2001 maybe.
And do you remember how old you were then?
I must have been between the age of 16 to 18.
And do you recall Mr. Bargo Jr.'s age at that time?
No, I don't. I do remember he was quite younger, maybe around 12, 13 maybe.
And did you babysit for him at all?
I never did, no.
Did you ever go over to the Bargos' house next door or go camping with them?
Went over there once in a great while, either to ask a question, like neighbors do, maybe to borrow something for dinner or just stuff like that.
Did you have any interaction with Mr. Michael Bargo Jr.?
From time to time, yes.
And was he an active child?
I would say so, yes.
Were you ever with the family on any outings? I understand that your family may have gone camping with the Bargos from time to time.
I know they did. I can't recall a time that I was with them. It might have been once. I might have been. I didn't go on all the camping trips that they went on.
Was your sister's older than you?
Yes, ma'am.
And did your sister babysit for Michael Bargo and his sister from time to time?
Yes, she did.
Were you living in your parents' home, your father's home? Your stepmom is the woman that lives in the home with your dad?
Correct.
And that's Faith?
No, I did not live with them.
Okay. Do you recall ever witnessing Mr. Bargo threatening anybody or being angry?
When you say Mr. Bargo, are you
Junior.
Junior. No, I did not.
Did you ever see him playing baseball and other athletic activities?
I don't recall ever seeing him personally. I saw pictures of like Little League pictures at their house. A lot of times he was just in the backyard practicing his fishing casts.
And did you ever go fishing with him?
I never did, no.
There's a popular city park with a lake up there. Are you familiar with that lake? Central City Park?
Yes, ma'am. I would call it more of a pond than a lake, though.
Okay. Do you know if, did you ever go fishing there?
Once or twice as a kid.
And do you know if young Mr. Bargo would go fishing there?
From what I've heard, he has, but again, I don't know.
Do you know if that lake is still there at Central City Park?
It is. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you if it's roped off right now or not, though.
Is that the lake that was reported to have been contaminated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they had to shut it down for environmental reasons?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
A large portion of that whole park they did.
And prior to closing that park down, did the kids used to play over there?
I know a lot of kids did. Are you specifically speaking about Michael?
And again, are you aware if Michael would play there?
Again, from what I've heard, yes.
Okay. Now, were you living next door when Mr. and Mrs. Bargo decided to get divorced and separated?
I just want to get some clarification. Are you asking if I lived with my parents at my dad's house at that time?
Well, when you were visiting your dad's house, if you weren't actually living there.
Oh, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you ever there and witnessed any arguments or fights between Mr. Bargo Sr. and Mrs. Bargo?
Yes, I have.
And could you describe that for us?
It was just, they would always get loud. Can't really think of anything specific. They would just argue as like they were mad at each other. I really don't know how to explain it other than that.
How far away were you when you overheard them arguing and yelling?
Sometimes it was just across the fence. Sometimes our windows would be open and you could hear them from their house to ours.
Did you ever witness either of the parents disciplining Mr. Bargo Jr., their son?
No, ma'am, not that I recall.
Okay. were you spending time at your parents' when Mr. Bargo Jr. was suspended from school?
I might have. I don't know.
Okay.
I was never told if he was.
Okay, all right. Were you aware if Mr. Bargo ever used drugs?
I've been told, but...
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay. Judge said you don't have to answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Christensen. I'm going to tender you now, and the state may have some questions for you.
Cross-examination. Hawthorne, I'll ask you to return to counsel table, please.
Good morning, Mr. Christensen.
Good morning.
You have no personal knowledge of the defendant ever playing or fishing in this contaminated pond that Ms. Hawthorne asked you about, do you?
That would be correct.
Now, you'd said that Michael Bargo Jr. was about 12 or 13 when his family moved in next to your dad?
That's my best educated guess.
Okay. And you would describe the Bargo family as great, an awesome family, and awesome neighbors. Is that correct?
They were great neighbors, in my opinion.
Okay. And they went on a lot of camping trips together as a family that you know about?
Well, I understand, yes.
Okay. And in fact, you would describe the defendant's relationship with his mother as a pretty good relationship, wouldn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you never saw his mom, and her name is Tracy O'Brien, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you never saw Miss O'Brien physically abuse Michael Bargo Jr. in any way, did you?
I've never seen it, no, not that I can recall.
And from your observations, in fact, Michael Bargo Sr. was the disciplinarian of the house.
In my opinion, yes.
And
A lot more stern.
okay, than Tracy O'Brien, the mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you don't know about any head injuries that the defendant, Michael Bargo Jr., suffered while living next door to your family?
Objection beyond the scope.
Not to my knowledge.
Sustained. That jury is instructed to disregard that last answer.
I don't have any other questions.
Redirect.
Hello, Todd. I'm Candace Hawthorne. I'm back again. Now, you had tried to tell me before that you didn't live at your father's house.
That would be correct. I do now.
Oh, okay. So, how often would you go to your dad's house?
Our visitations were Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and the weekends.
Okay, so you were having visitation with your dad?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you weren't there all the time?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your time.
Any recross?
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
This witness may be excused.
You're
Your Honor.
excused, sir.
Thank you. Is there anybody you would like next?
We would like for Faith Christensen.
Faith Christensen.
Okay. I will go get her. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. You are Faith Christensen?
Yes, I am.
I'm Judge David Eddy. You'll be testifying in this trial that we're conducting here in Ocala, Florida. Ms. Durkin, can you have this witness affirm to tell the truth or be sworn in?
let me go get her, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Durkin, can you have this witness sworn in or affirmed to tell the truth, please?
Yes. Raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, a bit nervous.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your name, please?
My name is Faith Ann Christensen.
And where do you live, ma'am?
I live at 30652 Burlington Street, Westland, Michigan.
Did you at one time live next door to Tracy and Michael Bargo Sr.?
Yes, I did. I still live there.
And was that in Westland also?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did the Bargos live next door to you, or you live next door to the Bargos?
I moved in January of 2000. I think it was July of 2000.
And what is your relationship to Tom Christensen?
Tom is my awesome husband.
Okay. And were you and your husband friends with Tracy and Michael Bargo Sr.?
Absolutely.
And did you and your husband spend time camping and fishing with the family?
Yes, ma'am.
So in 2000, Lauren would have been 1 year old if she were born in 1999?
She was still in diapers with a bottle in tow.
And Michael would have been 9 when you moved next door? He was born in 1992?
I'm not sure. I know that he was, I thought 7 or 8, but I don't know.
Okay. So you thought he was younger than that?
I didn't pay attention, to be honest.
Okay. Did you spend time over at the Bargo house?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you babysit for Michael and Lauren?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you describe yourself as a close friend of Tracy O'Neill?
Tracy O'Brien?
Sorry,
Yes,
Tracy O'Brien, yes. She's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yep, she sure is.
And you're still friends today?
Absolutely.
Now, back in 2005, do you recall the Bargos becoming separated? Their marriage was breaking down?
Yes, because that's the year that my mom died. So, yes, I do.
And prior to that, do you recall Michael Jr. being diagnosed with ADHD?
Yes, he was. I do remember that.
And do you recall if he was having problems in school?
Yeah, I think that he was fidgety a lot.
Now, when you would go on camping trips with the Bargos, did Mike Jr. go with you?
Oh, yes.
And
Good memories.
and did he like to fish?
He absolutely did. If I could answer a little bit more in detail, I remember the last fishing trip that my mom went with us, with Bargos, and both Mike Sr. and Michael, they were out there on the water with my mom in the boat, and they rode around and fished for all of the morning. And then when they got back to campsite, I remember and have pictures of Michael, skinning fish skinning the fish with my my mom. It was a really good memory. It was a good time.
And was he well behaved during those outings?
Yes, I mean, you know, they all were, and you get hot, and, you know, tempers flare a little.
Did you ever observe either Michael Bargo Sr. or Tracy disciplining Michael Jr.?
Yeah, both kids got spanking.
Okay. And that would be Lauren as well?
Absolutely.
And who was primarily the disciplinarian?
They both would. It was, you know, divided.
Would you have been someone that would have seen the Bargos every day, being that you live next door?
Yeah, you know, we talk over the fence, the dogs would play together, you know, share dinners, you know, it was just good, friendly neighbors that everybody would want to have.
How was Michael with his dog? I understand he had a like a lab type dog that he had for a number of years. The family dog.
Yeah.
And would he take care of her?
Lady, oh yeah, he would play with Lady and Sassy. Yep.
Did you ever see him hurt any of the animals?
Not really hurt, no. Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, I remember one time where he had a fishing pole and had like a little toy on it, and we would cast it out, and you know, Lady would run and go get it and come back.
Now.
And it was, you know, he would cast it out into the road.
From the yard?
But I wouldn't say that, yeah, no, well, it was on the, you know, the end of right where they would park their cars, so it would be out in the street, but not in the middle of the street.
How was Mike Jr. with his sister Lauren? Did they get along?
Oh, he loved her. Yeah. You know, siblings, you know, bicker and fight. Just your typical, you know, sibling quarrels.
Now, in 2005, do you remember Tracy moved, I guess, to her parents' home?
Yes, she did.
And is that when Tracy and Mike Bargo Sr. became separated?
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to that, did you ever hear them arguing and fighting?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you hear them arguing and fighting after that?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Tracy take either one of the children with her when she moved out?
I believe that she took both children.
And Michael Sr. stayed in the home?
Yes.
Now, did you go with Tracy to court for her divorce?
Yes, I did. I sat out in the seats on the benches outside the courtroom.
While the divorce proceedings were going on, there were occasions when the police were called out to the house. Do you recall those occasions?
Yes. Not all of them. But yes, I do remember them coming out.
Were you a witness one time to an event?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us what you observed.
I remember one time when I was babysitting Michael and Lauren, and that's when Tracy was back into the house, and Michael had, something had made him mad, and he seemed to have gone ballistic in the house, and seemed to be uncontrollable, and then he left out the window, and so we called the cops because we couldn't find him, I believe.
Are you talking about young Michael?
Yes.
Okay.
When I say Michael, I mean Michael Jr.
Okay.
When I say Mike, I'm referring to Senior.
Okay. So you were present the day that Mike went across the street to the neighbor's house?
Yes.
Okay. And that was the date that he got arrested?
believe so.
Okay, he was about 15? This was in 2007?
Yeah. Yeah, we were home then, yeah.
Okay, and the divorce had already been finalized by that time, correct? Do you remember?
Yes, yep.
And are you aware of the Department of Children and Families getting involved with the family back in the fall of 2006? Did anyone come and interview you?
No, we were never interviewed.
Okay. Do you remember a time where Michael Bargos Sr. Was at the house, and I guess someone, either Tracy or he, had called the police, and I guess you were a witness?
Probably, it was one of those times.
And that was during the divorce?
Yes.
Well, did they have a difficult divorce?
Yes, it was not friendly at all.
And how was Michael Jr.'s behavior during the time that the divorce happened?
One word, to me, would be bitter.
And can you give us some examples of why you would describe it as bitter?
He didn't want his parents to get a divorce. I mean, nobody does. And I know that he blamed Tracy for the divorce, and so he bitter, hold a grudge. I'm not sure what you would want to call it, but he was definitely, put out by the fact.
Did he want to live with his father?
Yes, he did.
And Tracy did not want him to live with his father?
Right. She wanted, to have her kids together, so they had, both siblings growing up together.
And did you ever witness Mike Jr. and his mother engage in arguments?
Oh, yes, yes.
And were you present when the time that she slapped Michael in the face?
I can honestly say I do not remember her slapping Michael in the face.
Okay. Were you present the day that Mike hit his head on the soap dish and I guess had to go to the hospital because he lacerated his skull?
I don't remember that, no.
Okay. Now, you had an episode with Michael where you had to call the police to calm him down?
Right, I was talking about that a few minutes ago.
Okay. Why was he so upset?
I don't remember what it was. I don't know. And I've been thinking about that since, we, were interviewed with both lawyers present, the prosecuting and the defense. And I don't remember what set him off, but something set him off and he was just uncontrollable.
What did he do?
He went into his room and he would hit the wall and he would throw things and holler and scream and then he ran out the door.
Did he threaten anybody?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I think he was just, a typical teenager at that point, or a young person, and just run at the mouth, very vocal.
Was he having a temper tantrum? Was he having a temper tantrum?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know if he was on medication at that time?
He probably was with, the Ritalin or whatever it is that they give, people, with ADD or whatever.
Do you have any family members that have any mental health issues?
Objection, relevance.
No, I do not.
Sustained.
When was the last, strike that. When Michael was arrested in April of 2007, you were still living next door to the Bargos?
Yes, we're still at the current house, yes.
But the Bargos moved later, once they sold their house? Okay. But at that time, and did Michael come back home in April of 2007 after he was arrested?
Yes, after the boot camp.
And how long was he in
Away
boot
at
camp?
Boot camp.
How long?
Probably, I think around a year or so that he was up north at the boot camp.
Okay. And do you know,
He came back to live with Tracy.
do you know what it was that he did to get him arrested and placed in a juvenile detention center for a year?
I believe it was the selling of the drugs on the school bus.
Okay. That's what you think, right? Who told you that?
That's what I think.
Okay. Did Tracy tell you that?
I don't know if it's related, but I'm sorry?
Did Tracy tell you that?
I don't know how I know that.
Okay.
I just don't. I mean, it could have been Mike Sr. I mean, I just don't know.
Okay, so you don't
It would have
recall,
had to been Tracy.
you don't recall that it was
It would have had been Tracy.
Okay, so you believe Tracy told you that?
That's what I'm thinking, because we were there, you know, when she would go up and visit Michael and that, so yeah.
Okay. Did she talk to you about him being in a substance abuse program while he was at the boot camp?
Oh, yes. He had to earn his rights. I remember there was an incident, not even an incident, a case where there would be food on a serving tray or the desserts, and he could only earn so much. He had to do certain things while being up there, so he could only choose from the bottom portions on the serving cart, and then he would work his way to the top items.
And
Whether, you know, good behavior, bad behavior, or what, while in boot camp at that facility.
Okay. And when he came home, did you see him when he came to the house, or had they already moved by that time when he was released?
Well, they moved to just a few streets over, you know, and we would go over there and, you know, visit them. Not as often.
And
but yes.
When he was released, you had occasions to spend time with him? Being over at his mom's house? And how was he behaving then?
He seemed to be okay.
Do you know if
I think he's still bitter.
Okay. Did you talk to him about that?
I don't think that we ever just concentrated on that. It may have come up in subject, but nothing stands out in my memory to where I specifically had a conversation about that. Just more of me people watching, observing.
Did you have an occasion where the young Michael came to you and begged you to try to talk his mom into not leaving?
Yes, and as well as Mike, you know, the dad, he asked if I could make Tracy stay and bring her back. In my heart, I knew that it wouldn't work out and that it would not happen. So my statement back to Mike Sr. was that if I brought Tracy back, that he would have to bring my mom, who had just passed in 2005, back. That's how that was referenced.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions. I would tender the witness.
1 second, ma'am. Cross-examination.
Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Christensen. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Okay. You would describe...
Yes, it's a little bit... There you go.
Okay. You would describe the Bargo family as a normal family. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
And you had lots of opportunities when they lived next door to you to observe Michael together with his mother, Tracy O'Brien.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you would describe Tracy O'Brien as a loving mother.
Absolutely.
And you would describe her as a good mother.
Absolutely.
And to discipline the children, Michael and his sister Lauren, both parents would just spank them if needed.
Absolutely. Just like I got a spanking as a kid. There was no difference.
All right. And you never saw Tracy O'Brien abuse Michael physically in any way?
No. No.
And in fact, you described Michael Bargo Jr. as, when he was younger, as a typical kid who wanted to get into everything. He was inquisitive and an adored little guy.
He was. He really was.
And later on, as Michael got older, into his teenage years, that's when things started to change between he and his mother.
Right. I think that the marriage itself was deteriorating, which brought in, you know, the change in Michael.
But you've also described the change in their relationship as being due to just normal teenage stuff. Isn't that correct?
That's what, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, all right. And based on your observations of Michael Jr. and with his mother, you believe that he just wanted to do what he wanted to do, and she said no. Is that correct? And that caused a lot of their problems. All right.
Right.
Okay.
He wasn't allowed to run amok.
Okay. And he didn't like that, and that caused a lot of problems.
Yes.
Correct. All right. Now, Ms. Hawthorne asked you if you were aware of an incident where the defendant hit his head on a soap dish, and you indicated you were not aware of that.
I don't remember physically seeing it. I just don't remember that. I don't know why it's blocked from my head.
In fact, you don't remember the defendant ever suffering any head injury at all during the time that they lived next door to you.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
I don't have any other questions.
Any redirect?
No, sir.
Hey, ma'am, you're excused. Who will be the next witness?
Tom Christensen?
Well, is that your husband, ma'am? Tom Christensen?
It is.
We'll need to have him next in that room, please.
Okay.
Thank you. You're excused.
Have a good day, people.
Sir, I'm Judge David Eddy. You are Tom Christensen?
Yes, I am.
Is Miss Durkin present? The notary?
Should yeah, let me go get her.
Miss Durkin, can you have this witness sworn in or affirmed to tell the truth, please?
I will. Can you raise your right hand? Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Candace Hawthorne. Could you introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please?
My name is Tom Christensen. I was a neighbor for the next to the Bargos for about 10 years, I guess.
And Mr. Christensen, would you say that you and your family were good friends with the Bargos?
Yes.
Did your family and the Bargos go on camping trips?
Yes.
And during those trips, did you have an opportunity to observe Michael with his family, Michael Jr.?
Yep. Yes.
What are some of the things that he liked to do, sir?
Fish and more fish.
And do you remember if Michael was a child that had ADD? Do you recall if either of the parents had advised you that he had been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD?
No.
And when you lived next door, you worked a lot, didn't you, sir?
Yes.
There were times, though, that you spent time with Michael Bargo Sr.?
Yes.
would you have a barbecue, drink beer, sit outside and talk?
Yep.
Did you ever overhear the Bargos arguing so loud that it came into your home or into your yard?
Oh, yeah.
Was that around the time that they became separated?
I'm sure that led up to it.
And
About the time they got separated.
do you know if the Bargos would drink a lot?
Tracy, no. I'd say Mike, yes.
Okay. And did you ever spend any time doing anything with young Mr. Bargo?
Not usually.
So you primarily...
Play.
Okay. So you primarily were friends with Mike Bargo Sr.?
Yes.
And how many hours a week would you work, sir, during that time? Do you remember?
Oh, boy. 60.
So you were away from home quite a lot?
Quite a lot.
And do you know if Mr. Bargo Sr. was working during that time?
Yes, he was.
Was he working in the RV industry?
Yes.
And do you recall if he was working a lot of hours during that time?
If I remember correctly, yes.
Do you remember a period of time when Mr. Bargo became ill and was unable to work?
I don't recall.
Okay. When they became separated, did you ever have conversations with Mike Bargo Sr. about the relationship with his wife, Tracy?
No.
So you really were on the periphery of everything that was going on?
Yes.
The arguing...
Neighbors.
The arguing that
The arguing.
Okay, the arguing that you overheard, was that something that was often that you overheard them arguing and fighting?
I don't remember, really. Say once a week, maybe?
Were you ever there when the cops were called out?
Yes.
And do you recall if you were questioned or if you witnessed anything?
I was never questioned, and I don't believe I ever witnessed anything.
Okay. But you were aware that the police were called out to the home?
Yes.
Do you know if the police were there to talk to the parents about something they did or about something that occurred with their son?
I don't remember. I believe it was both.
Okay. All right. And did you ever witness Michael Bargo Jr. Getting upset?
I don't remember. I would say yes, but boy, it's been such a long time.
Do you remember ever talking to Mr. Bargo Sr. about his son and the effect it was having on him regarding the divorce?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. I would tender the witness.
1 second, sir. Cross-examination?
No questions, Your
No
Honor.
cross-examination. Sir, you're excused. Who is the next witness going to be?
Sarah Jordan.
Sarah Jordan. Can you have her in that room, sir? I take it she's right outside. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Judge David Eddy. You are Sarah Jordan.
Yes, I am.
Ms. Durkin, can you have this witness sworn in or affirm to tell the truth, please?
Yes, I can. Raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
My name is Candace Hawthorne. Would you please introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
I am Sarah Jordan.
And do you live...
Michael Bargo's friend from school.
Okay.
In Michigan.
All right. And you met Mr. Bargo in school?
Yes, I did.
And we're talking about Michael Shane Bargo Jr.?
Yes, we are.
What age were you when you met Michael Jr.?
Roughly 14 to 15. It was the second semester of our freshman year at Wayne Memorial High School.
And how did you become friends?
Well, truthfully, in the beginning, I didn't care for him. He was a little too happy and hyper for me in school. And as I got to know him, he could always make me laugh. He was just our class clown, knew how to make everyone chuckle during the day.
And did you get to become close friends with Mike Jr.?
Yes. Yes, I did. Later on, we both ended up at an alternative school called Tinkham, also in the Wayne Westland District up here. And even though we didn't hang out outside of school too much, we always had heart-to-hearts. We had a lot of deep conversations.
And what would he talk about?
I mean, everything, anything, normal teenage stuff.
Did he talk about what was going on in his home life?
Yes, often.
Did he talk about his mom?
Yes.
What did he tell you about his mom?
Nothing that stands out in my memory too majorly. Mostly, just normal teenage boy stuff. You know, oh, mom made me mad today. Mom told me to do this, or just usual teenage boy.
And
I suppose.
Do you know why he was in the alternative school?
Yes, I do. He had, I believe it was, he had gotten into a fight, and he actually spent some time in JDF, which is the juvenile detention facility up here.
And when he was in Tinkham, was he in a substance abuse program?
Yes, he was, with his probation and stuff.
And were you also in that program?
Yes. We never did anything together because we were in separate groups, but it was the same company that we were through.
Did you ever witness Michael Jr. Getting picked on or bullied?
A little bit, yes, but he never let it bother him.
And
like I said, he was the class clown. He liked to make everyone laugh, so he didn't mind if someone was laughing at him for the most part.
Did you ever see him get angry at anyone?
Not directly towards them. Like I said, we had a lot of heart-to-hearts. I was someone that he could come to complain and vent about things, but he usually wasn't a very confrontational person.
Not confrontational? And how so?
I mean, like I said, he really wouldn't mind when people would say certain things. I saw him more laugh and shrug something off when someone would say something about him than I've ever seen him react to it.
And did you find him to be shy, or was he a leader of sorts?
He was definitely not shy, but far from shy. He was very outgoing and, like I keep saying, class clown. I didn't always find him to be a leader, a little bit more of a follower. Well, definitely more than a follower, but not completely. It's hard. I have a hard time explaining what I'm trying to say.
Did he ever talk to you about his having to take medication?
I remember a couple of conversations about it.
And
not too many. I know he had either ADD or ADHD, and I know there was a few days that his medicine would have him a little extra hyper, and I would notice. We would talk about it.
And so his medicine made him hyper?
Occasionally, not always. I don't know, some days, maybe he was just a little more upbeat.
Okay. And now, did he complete the program that you were in? The alternative school program?
Yes, he did.
And did you...
The alternative school program?
Yes.
No, I think he had actually left.
Okay.
In the middle of the year to move down to Florida.
Okay. But the probation, did he complete that?
Yes, he did.
All right. And did you ever go over to his house?
Only a couple of times, but yes, I did.
Did you ever observe him interacting with his mother?
Yes, I did.
And how was that?
One specific time that I have a memory of, we were going to the movies, and me and a friend had come to pick him up, and his mom was just very specific about, you know, okay, let me know when you get there, let me know how long the movie is. Pretty much, she wanted to keep tabs on him, know where he was, make sure he was home on time.
And what was his response to that?
Pretty much, yes, Mom, okay, Mom, I know. I'll call you.
All right. Did you ever see him in an argument with his mom?
No, I have not.
Did he talk to you about his dad?
He mentioned his dad, that just really pretty much that his dad lived in Florida and that he had wanted to go move with him. The way he talked about him, I kind of assumed, you know, there's always the one parent that's more lenient, and he made it seem like that's why he wanted to go stay with his dad, because he knew he could pretty much do more of what he'd like to do rather than what he should be doing.
And did he ever express sadness to you over his life, his home life?
I wouldn't necessarily say sadness. I would say more like teenage rebellion kind of things. He didn't seem at all sad or depressed about his at-home life. He did seem a little agitated sometimes, you know, but not anything that I would consider out of the ordinary, nothing that stands out in my memory at all.
Did you ever see him explosive?
Occasionally, but like I said, he wasn't very confrontational. The times that I had seen him explosive was more of after he ignored what had happened, whatever it was that had made him mad, he'd kind of walk away and blow up a little bit, blow some steam off.
Now, were you aware of his ever using narcotics, illegal drugs?
A little bit, not completely, but a little bit.
Did he ever talk to you about that?
He would talk to me a little bit about marijuana usage, nothing other than that, because I liked to consider myself as kind of one of his mentors. You know, when he was going through his probation period and stuff, I always tried to keep him on track, you know, keep him in class, making it to class on time and stuff like that. He wasn't, like most friends, I didn't hang out with him as much. It was really, he was like a brother to me, you know, and I wanted to watch out for him.
Did he get distracted easily?
Yes, very easily.
So he would need to be directed and redirected on task.
Yeah, pretty often.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions.
1 second, ma'am. There may be some cross-examination.
No questions, Your Honor.
There is no cross-examination, so you are excused, but who will be the next witness?
We would call Lauren Bargo.
Lauren Bargo, is she present in Michigan?
Yes, sir.
Is she outside that room, ma'am? If you could have Lauren Bargo.
She is, I'll go grab her.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Right there. So
Good morning, ma'am. You are Lauren Bargo?
Yes.
I'm Judge David Eddy. Ms. Durkin, can you have this witness sworn in or affirm to tell the truth, please?
Yes, I will. Raise your right hand, please. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Candace Hawthorne. Would you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your name, please?
Lauren Bargo.
And are you Mike Bargo Jr.'s sister?
Yes.
How old are you?
14.
Do you live primarily with your mother in Michigan?
Yes.
Is your mom Tracy O'Neill? Is it? Or O'Brien? I keep doing that. I apologize. And your brother used to live in Michigan with you and your mom?
Yes.
Do you remember times at home with your brother and your mom growing up when he was an early teenager?
Yes.
How many years separate the two of you in age?
I believe 7 or 8.
He was 7 when you were born? You were born in 1999?
Yes.
In July?
Yes.
Okay. And your mom and dad got separated when you were 6 years old, so you were pretty young. Do you remember your brother and your mom and their relationship when she lived in the home with you and your brother and your dad had moved out?
Yes.
Can you tell us if your brother had a good relationship with your mom?
Not really.
And would your mom discipline him a lot?
Yes.
Did you ever hear your mom yell and scream at your brother?
All the time.
Did you ever see your mom physically discipline your brother?
She threw a shoe at him one time, but that's all that I can remember.
Do you recall if your mom has mood swings where she yells and screams throughout the house?
Yes.
And did that have an effect on your brother?
Yes.
Can you tell us, he had been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and he was supposed to take medication. Did you ever observe him on that medication?
He was normal towards me, so it didn't seem very weird.
Was there times when he would stop eating or would become lethargic? Like sleepy?
He didn't, yeah, because the medicine would make him drowsy and not want to eat.
And did you ever see him hyper and anxious?
Not really. He was calm towards me most of the time.
Did your mom and dad's separation upset your brother?
I believe so.
Did he ever express to you that he wanted to live with his dad?
Yes.
And it's my understanding that your mom wouldn't allow that to happen?
Yes.
Did you go to counseling at all when your mom and dad were going through a divorce?
I believe we went maybe once or twice.
And how was your brother doing those times?
kind of upset and a little bit angry.
Did you recall going to a Lutheran school?
Yes.
And was that Huron Valley Lutheran that you and your brother were court ordered to go to after the divorce?
No, we went to Peace Lutheran.
Okay. All right. You went there together?
Yes.
How was he in school?
He was fine, I guess.
Do you recall if your brother was having problems with his schoolwork?
I don't think so.
Now, you're an A student, aren't you?
No.
No? Do you have good grades?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall if your brother got suspended from school?
No.
You don't recall him being suspended. Do you recall him being placed in an alternative school where he had to go live someplace else?
No.
Okay. Since your brother has moved to Florida, have you visited with him?
Yes.
Do you have a good relationship with your brother?
Yes.
Is he protective of you?
Very.
And during your time when you were growing up, did you all play together?
All the time.
And did you enjoy that? Was that something fun that you like to do?
Objection relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Did your brother take care of you from time to time? Did he ever babysit you?
Yes. Yes.
And what are some of the things that the two of you like to do together?
Just hang out and joke around, have fun.
Does he have a good sense of humor?
Yes.
Did you ever observe your brother getting bullied at school or picked on?
No.
Okay. And did you ever go fishing with him?
I believe so.
Did you ever go camping with him?
Yes.
Do you recall if your parents, when they decided to get separated, do you recall if there was a lot of arguing going on in the home?
Yes.
And did that arguing upset Michael?
Yes.
Would that make him sad when they argued?
Yes.
Did he get angry?
Kind of.
Have you ever witnessed your brother hurting himself?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Lauren. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, 1 second, ma'am. There may be some cross-examination.
Just have a few questions.
Good morning, Ms. Vargo. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You would agree that your mom is stricter than your dad, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Okay. And she expects you to follow more rules than your dad does.
No, I wouldn't say rules. She's have rules either way.
Okay. But she is stricter.
They just handle it different.
Okay. She's stricter, though.
Yes.
Okay. And you come down and visit your dad here in Ocala a couple times a year?
Yes.
And you have more freedom with your dad when you come here than you do in Michigan with your mom?
Yes.
All right. And that's why Michael, your brother, wanted to move down to Florida and live with your dad. Isn't that true? So he could do what he wanted.
No, not necessarily, because my father was a lot
nicer and a lot more calm.
But he would also have more freedom if he came to Florida. Yes. Okay. And when you were and Michael were growing up, both of your parents disciplined you, just in different ways.
Yes.
Okay. And your dad's method of discipline was talking to you if you did something wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Because your dad wanted to make sure that you and Michael understood the difference between right and wrong.
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Lauren, can you tell us about your mom? You had said that your dad is more calm than your mom in disciplining. Can you describe how your mom would discipline?
She yelled a lot, I guess.
When she yells, did she ever belittle your brother?
Yes.
Would that hurt his feelings?
I would imagine so.
I don't have any other questions.
Recross.
No, Your Honor.
Who is your next witness, Ms. Hawthorne?
Mark Doolin.
I'm sorry, the last name?
Mark Doolin.
Doolin. Ms. Fargo, if you can get Mark Doolin to the hearing room there, please. Thank you. Good morning, sir. I'm Judge David Eddy. You are Mark Doolin?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Durkin, can you have this witness sworn in or affirm to tell the truth, please?
Sure. Raise your right hand, please. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Hi.
My name is Candace Hawthorne. Would you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your full name?
Mark Edward Doolin.
Mr. Doolin, are you related to Tracy O'Brien?
Am I related to Tracy O'Brien is my fiance?
Okay. And the two of you, are you living at the same place?
Yes.
And how long have you and Tracy resided together?
5 years, roughly.
Was there a period of time in between there that you weren't together for a bit of time?
Yeah, 6 months, 7 months ago.
Now, do you know Michael Jr.?
Yes.
And how do you know Michael Jr.?
Well, he lived with us when we lived on Burlington and on Westchester Street.
Did Mike meet you when he was released from the boot camp program?
Yes.
And
before that?
Before that?
Yeah, he was in another program somewhere, and then I went and picked him up from boot camp in Howell one time.
And what was your relationship with Mike Jr.?
What do you mean, what was the relationship?
What kind of relationship did the two of you have?
We had a good relationship. I bought him a fishing pole, took him fishing. I mean, he seemed like just a normal teenager to me, you know.
Was he on any medication at that time?
I don't think so. He might have been, but I don't think so. I don't remember for sure if he was on medication or not.
Do you know if he was on probation when he came home?
Yeah, he was on probation.
And he completed that probation?
Yes, he completed probation before he moved to Florida.
And completing the probation, once he completed that, the court allowed him to go to Florida?
Yes.
Now, when you lived in the home, did you observe Michael and his mother interact?
Yes.
Would Tracy discipline Michael?
Not that I ever seen. Make him do dishes and stuff, but not, you know, I never seen any harsh discipline, no.
Did you ever witness her yelling or screaming at Michael?
No, most of that's directed toward me.
And what would she yell at you in front of Michael?
She never really yelled at me in front of the kids like that. She doesn't do that.
She yells at you when you're not in front of the kids?
Outbursts. Yeah, that stuff's kept away from the kids normally. I mean, you know, stupid little arguments about being gone fishing too long or something. And, you know, if I do that, the kids are with me. I mean, there's no real bad confrontations in the house.
Was Tracy a meticulous person in the house?
On some things, yeah.
And she had Mike doing a lot of chores?
Yeah.
And would they ever have verbal disputes?
I mean, yeah, I guess every teenage boy and his mother have disputes, don't they? I mean, he wanted to stay out later or go certain places that she didn't want him to go. Yeah, I mean, but that's going to happen, right? That's how we learn.
Did you ever take Michael and share Jack Daniels with him?
No.
Did you ever use drugs with him?
No.
Now, did you ever see him get upset?
Yeah, I've seen him upset. I don't remember you know, a certain time that I can tell you, but yeah, I've seen him upset.
And was his being upset, was that related to something that was going on between him and his mom?
No, actually, I think it was the kids down the street closer to Merriman Road who he was upset with the time I'm thinking of.
Did you ever have a discussion with him about his medications?
No.
Were you aware of any times that Tracy took him to the emergency room because he was having problems with his meds?
No, Tracy took him to the emergency room when he fell and hit his head in the shower, and she took him to the emergency room when he had MRSA.
And those are the only 2 times you recall?
I don't remember anybody going to an emergency room about medication, no. I've never heard that, never saw that.
Do you remember Tracy having to go to court in Michigan for child support?
I remember Tracy going to court, but I don't remember if it was for child support or not. That's really not my business, the child support thing.
Have you ever observed her angry at her former husband?
When she gets off the phone with him, yeah.
Have you ever heard her verbally abuse the father's name in front of the son? In other words, being
No,
angry
she
and
walked
calling
in
him
another room.
names.
What did you say, sir?
You broke up a little bit there.
Did you ever witness Tracy getting angry at Michael Burgos Sr. and saying stuff in front of the son?
No, they had little disputes back and forth where he was saying, I'm just going to go to Florida and live with my dad, and she was telling him, well, you're going to finish probation first, and, you know, there were things that he wanted to go do that she didn't want him to do, and he would say he'd bring his dad into it, you know, but no, as far as her name calling and stuff like that, no.
Have you ever
He
described,
just told Michael, go ahead.
have you ever described Tracy as somebody that has wide mood swings?
Yeah, that's happened. I have described that, yeah.
Okay. Have you described her as someone who can get real mean?
No.
Okay. You did break up with her for a bit, didn't you?
Yes.
And why was that?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Yeah, we weren't getting along. She don't like my work schedule. I work for Allied Van Lines and I leave town a lot.
Did you describe her to an investigator as being a bitch?
I might have.
Thank you, sir.
1 second, sir. Cross-examining.
No questions, Your Honor.
Hey, 1 second, sir. Will counsel approach the bench, please? We're going to take a break. How long is it going to be? You don't have anybody else you can put on before him? Then we could do him right after lunch. Mr. Doolin, thank you, sir. I appreciate your appearing at this trial. You're excused, sir.
Okay. Do you
Thank-
want somebody else in here next, or?
Is there any further testimony from the state of Michigan, Ms. Hawthorne?
I don't believe there are any other witnesses.
Were there other witnesses there prepared to testify, Mr.
Oh,
Doolin?
Alicia Saylor, I'm sorry. Yes, we have Ms.
There's
Saylor.
two. You forgot Amanda Christensen, too.
Okay.
Who do you need?
We'll have Amanda Christensen and then Ms. Saylor.
Amanda Christensen. Thank you, Mr. Doolin.
I'll go get her.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go get her. Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be 2 additional witnesses from the state of Michigan, then we'll take a break.
Your Honor, the witness just stepped out. She went to the ladies' room. She'll be right back.
Thank you.
Sure.
There are 2.
You want the other one?
Ms. Saylor, if she's...
Ms. Durkin, is Ms. Saylor there?
I'm sorry, were you saying something?
Is Ms. Saylor there?
Let me check for you. I'm sure she is.
We can call her.
Want her in?
Yes, ma'am, we can call her.
Okay. She's here. She's coming in. Ms.
Thank you.
Taylor. You can sit right there.
Good morning, ma'am. Judge David Eddy. And Ms. Durkin, can you have this witness sworn in or affirm to tell the truth, please?
Sure. Raise your right hand, please. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
My name is Candace Hawthorne. Would you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your full name?
Alicia Rose Ivy Cox.
And are you from the Westland, Michigan area?
Yes, I am.
And how can you tell us how you know Michael Shane Bargo Jr.?
We were classmates together in high school.
And what high school was that?
Tinkham Alternative.
And how well did you get to know Michael when you were at Tinkham Alternative?
Pretty well. We were friends in school, and we hung out a little bit after school when we got the chance.
And would you describe your relationship as a close relationship?
Yes, I would.
About how old were you then?
16.
Were you the same age as Michael?
Yes, close to.
And did the two of you share conversations about your home life with one another?
A little bit.
Did Michael ever talk about his home life?
A little bit, not much.
Did he tell you he had a good home life?
I mean, for a 16-year-old, yes. He told me he didn't get along with his mom.
Did he tell you why?
They argued a lot.
And did he tell you why he argued a lot with his mom?
I don't remember. It was so long ago. I do remember he told me once about a physical altercation that happened between the two of them.
Can you tell me about that?
I don't remember much. I do remember it had to do with a frying pan or something along that line. It was so long ago, I couldn't tell you why or what happened.
Did he tell you that he had the frying pan or that his mom had the frying pan?
Objection,
His
Your Honor.
mother?
Hearsay.
Sustained.
Did you ever go over to Michael's house?
No, I did not.
Did you and Mike ever do drugs together?
No, we did not.
Now, Tinkham Alternative, what kind of a school is that?
It's an alternative high school, pretty small, only one hallway, and one teacher per subject, so all the students knew each other pretty well.
And do you know why Michael was in Tinkham Alternative?
No, I don't.
Did you ever observe him to be hyper or nervous?
Yeah, I would say he was more of a hyperactive child in school.
Did you ever see him get in?
He had a hard time focusing.
He had a hard time focusing, is that what you said?
Yes.
And were you aware of whether he had to take medication for ADD or ADHD?
No, I wasn't aware.
Did he ever talk to you about medication?
No, just the one time we went to AA together, we talked, I heard him speak of his drug use, but not of medication he took daily.
And did you ever witness him become angry at anyone?
A little bit with altercations with students, but nothing extreme where a fight was to break out.
Was he doing the challenging, or was he being challenged at those times?
He was being challenged.
Did you ever witness him being picked on by other students?
Yes.
And was there a specific reason for that?
Mainly his size.
And he's kind of short?
Yeah, and small, and they didn't think he was, that tough.
And would you describe him as a leader or a follower?
A follower.
Did you know him as a kind or a mean person?
A kind.
Did he ever talk about his father?
Not much, just that he was in Florida.
Did he ever discuss with you wanting to go live with his dad?
No, when he told me he was going to Florida, he actually didn't want to leave.
And why was that?
We were all friends, and he made it seem like, he didn't want to leave his friends and what he known.
But he did leave?
Yes.
Did he keep in touch with you?
Yes.
And have you seen him since he left Florida?
No, I haven't.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions. There may be some cross-examination, so just hang in there a moment.
Any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, ma'am, you're excused. We'll need to speak to Amanda Christensen next.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Judge David Eddy. You are Amanda Christensen?
Correct.
And Ms. Durkin, can you have this witness sworn in or affirm to tell the truth, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Raise your right hand, please. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Candace Hawthorne. Would you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your full name?
Amanda Marie Christensen.
And is your dad Tom Christensen?
Correct.
Now, at one time, the Bargos lived next door to your family in Westland?
Correct.
And that was when Tracy and Mike Sr. and Lauren and Mike Jr. all lived in that house?
Correct.
And would you babysit for the children from time to time?
Yes, I would.
Now, were you living full-time with your dad at that time?
No, I was not.
And your brother is Todd?
Correct.
Were you visiting your dad on a visitation schedule? Or had you actually were you living outside the home on your own? Were you grown up?
I was grown up. I mean, I was living with my mother, but I was still grown up and saw my dad whenever I wanted.
Okay. And you had said that you babysat for Lauren and Michael?
Yes.
About how old was Michael when you babysat for them?
11, 12, somewhere in there. I was, got to be 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 8, so somewhere in there.
And were you aware that he had been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD?
I had heard of that, yes.
Did you ever have the responsibility of giving him medication when you were babysitting?
No, I did not.
When you babysat, did you observe Michael to be very active?
Yeah, he was an active kid.
Did
Hyper
you?
at times, so I could see.
Did he play baseball and football and go fishing and all those other activities?
I've heard of all of them. The only one I know of for a fact is that he went fishing and enjoyed that.
Did you ever see him interact with his dog?
Yes, I have.
And the dog's name was Lady, I believe?
Yep.
And was he very close with the dog?
Yes, he was.
And did he get along well with his sister?
I believe he got along well with his sister, but I have a brother also, so to me they got along like me and my brother do.
And did you ever witness either child being disciplined by the parents?
Yes.
And who would you say was the disciplinarian in the family?
Tracy was usually the disciplinary.
And how would she discipline the children?
They would lose TV time, be grounded to the house, just privileges.
And how would Mike Jr. take the discipline from his mom?
I feel like he didn't accept it a lot of the times.
When you...
But he would do the discipline.
Okay. When you babysat, were Tracy and Mike Sr. still together, or had they separated and started their divorce proceedings?
I believe this was right before they started their divorce, so they were still together.
Did you ever overhear them arguing with one another?
Once in a while, yes.
And was there yelling and screaming involved?
Yes.
Do you know if Mike Bargo Jr. was around?
I honestly, I don't know.
Okay. And did Mike Jr. ever talk to you about his parents' separation?
Not that I can recall, no.
Did you ever see him acting out in anger?
Not that I can recall either, personally.
Was he a loud child or a quiet child?
He had his moments, but he could be loud. He could be quiet also.
Did you ever see him get mean and violent?
I never saw mean or violence.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions.
Cross-examination.
Just a couple questions from me.
Good morning, Ms. Christensen.
Good morning.
You have described the Bargo family as friendly, fun-loving, and they enjoyed spending time together. Isn't that true?
Correct.
And you have described Michael Bargo Jr. as a fun, loving, and energetic kid.
Yes.
And for all intents and purposes, the Bargo family looked absolutely within the realm of normal to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you would describe Michael's mother as a loving mother who cared about her children.
Yes.
And you describe his father the same way.
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No.
And ma'am, you're excused. I thank you for your appearing at this trial. You're excused.
Thank you.
Ms. Hawthorne, do you have any further witnesses from the state of Michigan?
No, sir.
And Ms. Durkin, thank you for participating and swearing in the witnesses. I appreciate that. We'll be signing off shortly, ma'am. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to take a recess for lunch. We're going to have you taken out for lunch today, I believe. Is that correct? Very well. And there are some matters I need to address with the attorneys. We're going to reconvene in the courtroom at 1:15 p.m. If you arrive back at the courthouse much before then, you can feel free to walk around the courthouse or in the vicinity. If you do that, please wear your juror badges.
Give me a minute.
Hey, thank you. You may retire with the bell.
I'm back in. Didn't know if you need me.
No, ma'am. I was referencing earlier, we have concluded the testimony from the state of Michigan. I thank you for your assistance. We'll be signing off shortly. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
In noting that the jury has retired from the courtroom, is Dr. Wu the next witness? We need to address on the state's motion in limine regarding penalty phase evidence, specifically in regards to paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. Do you have that motion in front of you, Mr. Holloman? Have you reviewed the Francis and Mendoza cases? Specifically in the Francis case, head notes 3 and 4. In the Mendoza case, head note 28.
Yes, sir. What we're going to do, what I propose to do.
Yes, sir.
Is the current state of law is that, of course, if he qualifies as an expert, he'll give his expert opinion with his diagnosis. He will not reveal the underlying basis of that diagnosis. That's where most of the hearsay comes from.
Yes, sir.
The situational circumstances, and I've instructed not to reveal that. Now, should they get up and attack the efficacy of that examination and bring certain issues into play, of course, I will alert the court of that before we, make countermeasures and end up being wrong. But state of the law is clear.
Do you agree that paragraphs 1 and paragraphs 2 in that motion should be granted?
Yes, sir, I do.
Very well. In regards,
There are certain matters that are endemic to the diagnosis in this case, Judge, because it's right temporal below the difficulties. And the PET scan has shown has to do with emotions, anger control, things like that. And the doctor will testify that it's very abnormal. It will show a graphic picture of a normal brain, that brain, and also give you the reading time. There's certain things he's going to talk about, like that he knows of Michael Vargo from his communications and the diagnosis and the material he's been put. But it won't be like getting hit in the head. Can that cause this problem? And then he'll talk about whether he rated reports about it being hit in the head. You will not be talking about the situational factors that might present a problem. See what I'm saying?
yes, sir, that type of medical testimony is certainly permissible. The intent of the motion, I understand, is that the hearsay testimony be excluded. Is that correct, Ms. Arnold?
Yes, Your Honor, and specifically, we were provided yesterday afternoon with Dr. Wu's PowerPoint. There are 3 slides, I believe them to be slide 19, 20, and 21. Slide 19 says that the PET findings are consistent with the history of multiple brain injuries in Michael Vargo. And then he cites age 9 or 10, football concussion, blinding flash. Age 12, fell off roof. And then age 17, hung himself, faded in and out, cut down by ex-girlfriend's mother, Tessa McLam. All that needs to come out. Then there's a history of paranoia and history of antipsychotic medication use, which is in the next slide. And then the next slide after that, there relates a history of seizure the night before Seth was killed. And I would request that all 3 of those slides be taken out of Dr. Wu's PowerPoint.
Mr. Holloman?
I don't believe they should be taken out, Judge, because what we're dealing here with this, we're dealing with these bits of information that he's using for purposes of his medical diagnosis. Because they're going to stand up there and they're just going to say there's nothing to it. We're talking about getting this guy killed. And I mean, these things need to come in.
It's the hearsay that's inadmissible. That's my concern. Let me hear those slides individually.
Slide 19, the title says, PET findings consistent with history of multiple brain injuries in Michael Vargo.
Take one at a time.
Bullet point number 1, age 9 or 10, football concussion, blinding flash. There is no evidence of that before this jury at this point.
That's slide 19.
And yes, sir, that's bullet point number 1. And there's 3 more bullet points on that slide. Bullet point number 2 is age 12, fell off roof, knocked unconscious. Bullet point 3, age 14, hit in head with brick. Bullet point 4, age 17, hung himself, faded in and out, cut down by ex-girlfriend's mother, Tessa McLam. None of that evidence is before the jury, and that's pure unadulterated hearsay that Dr. Wu got not from the defendant, but from Dr. Berland's interview of Dr. Wu, and Dr. Wu reviewing Dr. Berland's report. Now, there is evidence before the jury of the defendant having a head injury when he fell in the shower and hit his head. I mean, that's before the jury. I think partly that was
I'm persuaded by the state's argument regarding slide 19. Slide 19 shall be redacted. Slide 20? Completely. Slide 19 should not be presented to the jury. Yes, sir. Slide 20.
Slide 20 is titled PET findings also consistent with history of bipolar type symptoms. Bullet point 1, history of paranoia. Bullet point 2, history of antipsychotic medication use, and that's being Seroquel is in
Well, there's some evidence regarding the antipsychotic medication. I'm not going to require slide 20 be redacted. Slide 19 must come out. Slide 20 can stay in.
If I may ask, was there any, I know there's evidence of using medication for ADHD like Ritalin, but I don't believe there's been any testimony about him taking Seroquel at this
I
point.
thought there was in the guilt phase. In any event,
Okay, did the defense testify to that, and that may be, yes, sir.
I believe there was some testimony regarding Seroquel in the guilt phase.
Okay.
20 may stay in.
21 is titled PET scan and history consistent with partial complex seizure spectrum disorder embargo. Bullet point 1, history of seizure the night before Seth was killed.
I agree with that.
That
I agree with
needs to come out. Slide 21 should be redacted.
So 19 and 21 come out and 20 remains in.
21's not totally out. You can redact history of seizure.
Yes, sir. The medical terminology, it's the bullet point underneath that needs to come out. Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly? It's the hearsay as to slide 21 that needs to be redacted. Anything further?
Make sure I get it right. 19's coming out in its entirety.
Yes, sir.
20 stands as is.
Yes, sir.
21 will come out in its entirety unless he can redact bullet point saying history of seizure. If not, it comes out entirely.
Yes, sir.
So then that slide will only be the title, which says PET scan and history consistent with partial complex seizure spectrum disorder embargo.
If he can redact the remainder of that, that would be fine. The title is fine. The medical terminology in that title is perfectly all right. It's the remainder that needs to be redacted.
And what I suggest we do, Judge, is that once he does that, once that's accomplished, that we show that to the state, see if there's
I suggest you do so. Okay, we'll be in recess until 1:15. During the recess, can we get the slide projector set up at some point?
What format is Dr. Wu's presentation in?
What do you need?
I mean, is it on CD or thumb drive? I don't want to talk.